My hands trembled as I stared down at my phone. 3 missed calls from Gerald, my lawyer, then a message that froze me where I sat. Tom, call me right now. Don't go to your daughter's house. I mean it. I was literally pulling on my coat, ready to drive to Lindsay's place in Springbank for Sunday dinner. She'd been unusually persistent all week. Dad, you never visit anymore. The kids miss you. I'm making your favorite pot roast. How could I turn that down? But Gerald's message changed everything. I sank back onto my old leather couch, the one Margaret and I had chosen 32 years ago when we first bought this house in Mount Royal. My late wife would have known what to do. She always did. But she'd been gone 4 years now, and I'd been figuring out life on my own ever since. My hands were unsteady as I dialed Gerald's number. Tom. His tone was controlled and professional, but I could hear the urgency underneath. Where are you right now? Are you alone? I'm at home, Gerald. What's happening? You're starting to scare me. Good. Stay put. Lock your doors. I'm on my way. We need to talk face to face, and you need to see some documents I received this morning. 20 minutes later, Gerald sat across from me at my dining table, spreading papers between us like evidence from a crime scene, which in a sense, they were. He took a deep breath before speaking. Tom, 3 days ago your daughter Lindsay and her husband Derek filed a petition with the Court of Queen's Bench. He paused, meeting my eyes with that calm, lawyerly look of his. They're asking the court to declare you mentally incompetent. They want to become your legal guardians and gain control over all your assets. The words struck like a physical punch. My vision swam. That's ridiculous. I'm 67, not 97. I volunteer at the food bank, handle my own finances, just renewed my driver's license last month with no problem. My voice was rising, a mix of disbelief and panic. Why would they do this? Gerald slid another document toward me. Because of this, he said quietly. Your home is now valued around $2.4 million. Your investments total about $1.8 million. Between your pension and savings, your estate adds up to just over $5 million. I'd always known I was comfortable. Margaret and I had worked hard, saved carefully, invested wisely. After 35 years as a petroleum engineer, I'd built a secure future. But hearing it listed like that, so clinical, so detached, it suddenly felt like a target on my back. Lindsay knows what the house is worth, I murmured. We talked about Calgary's housing market last Christmas. She joked I was sitting on a gold mine. It wasn't a joke, Tom. Gerald flipped open his laptop and turned the screen toward me. Your daughter and Derek are in serious financial trouble. They bought that 5,000 square foot home in Springbank Hills 3 years ago, $650,000 mortgage. Derek persuaded her to invest in his partner's crypto venture. They lost $400,000. He scrolled through more documents. Your grandson Josh's private school tuition is $38,000 a year. Their property taxes are $22,000. They're drowning in debt. I stared at the laptop, my stomach twisting. How do you know all this? It's in their petition, Gerald replied. They're claiming they need to protect your finances from your declining mental state before you make poor decisions. And Tom, he hesitated, eyes softening. They've been building this case for at least 6 months. He began laying out the evidence, photos of me at Safeway, apparently confused in the cereal aisle. I was just trying to remember the brand Margaret used to buy. A statement from Dr. Patel noting I'd seemed disoriented during a checkup. I'd had a fever and mixed up my medications. A recorded conversation where I supposedly couldn't recall my phone number. I'd just switched providers. Every ordinary moment of aging twisted into proof of incompetence. This is fraud, I said hoarsely. This is elder abuse. Yes, Gerald said grimly. And sadly, it's happening more often. Adult children trying to seize their parents' estates before they're gone. He closed his laptop with a sharp click. The hearing's in 2 weeks. They're moving fast, hoping to blindside you. What happens if they win? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Gerald's expression hardened. Then they take over everything. Your bank accounts, investments, property. They could sell your house, move you into assisted living, even make your medical decisions. You'd lose your independence entirely. He hesitated, then added quietly, "And based on their financial mess, I'd bet they'd put your house on the market within 3 months." I looked around the room, the home where Margaret and I had raised Lindsay, the place where we'd hosted Christmas dinners, planted our garden, celebrated birthdays. The house where Margaret had taken her final breath upstairs, holding my hand. "They can't do this," I whispered. "Lindsay wouldn't. She's my daughter." Gerald sighed. "I wish I could tell you otherwise, Tom, but the evidence says different. They've been planning this carefully. They waited until after your minor car accident last year, right?" I nodded slowly. The teenager ran a red light and hit me. The police report said I wasn't at fault. Exactly. But they used that as an opening. Every forgotten name, every missed appointment, every small mistake, they've been documenting it all, building a narrative. Suddenly it all made sense. Lindsay insisting on coming to my doctor's visits, taking notes on her phone while we talked, pretending it was concern. It was all part of the plan. "What do I do?" I finally asked. I felt hollow inside, angry, betrayed, afraid. Gerald straightened, his tone shifting from compassionate to determined. "We fight back, and we fight smart. But Tom, you need to be ready for what comes next. This won't just be a court battle. It's going to rip your family apart." I thought of Lindsay as a little girl, how she'd curl into my lap and beg me to read her favorite stories, how she'd clung to me at Margaret's funeral, sobbing into my shoulder. Just last week, she'd told me she loved me. And now this? The betrayal felt like a blade, my own daughter, ready to strip me of my dignity and freedom for money. "Tell me what we have to do," I said, my voice steady now. Gerald gave a small, grim smile, the kind a lawyer wears before going to war. "First, we start documenting everything, every day, every detail, who you talk to, what you do, every clear decision you make. Dates, times, proof that your mind is sharp. I want a record of it all." "Okay," I said, nodding. "Second, we'll get you evaluated by an independent psychiatrist, someone outside your family doctor's reach, a specialist in geriatric mental health who can testify you're completely sound." "Fine," I said. "Third, and this is crucial," he warned, "you can't let them know that you know. You have to act normal. If they realize we're onto them, they'll panic, destroy evidence, or accelerate their plans." The dinner invitation suddenly made sense. In the worst way. "They wanted me there tonight for a reason, didn't they?" Gerald nodded. "Most likely. Maybe to have you sign a document, power of attorney, estate transfer, something disguised as harmless paperwork. Or they could have staged an incident to make you look confused, capture it on video. Either way, it wouldn't have ended well. The thought made me sick. My own child plotting to trap me. My voice cracked. "How could she do this?" I asked. Tears came before I could stop them. Gerald rested a hand on my shoulder. "I've practiced law for 30 years, Tom. I've seen this too many times. Money doesn't always change people. It just shows you who they really were. The following week, I did exactly what Gerald told me. I kept a meticulous journal, recording everything, from how long it took me to finish my morning crossword to the hours I spent volunteering at the Calgary Food Bank. Every phone call, every conversation, every clear decision went into that notebook. I also met with Dr. Sarah Chen, a geriatric psychiatrist Gerald recommended. She was kind but thorough, putting me through an exhausting series of memory and reasoning tests. After our third session, she smiled warmly. "Mr. Morrison, I can say with complete confidence that you show no sign of cognitive decline or dementia. Your judgment and memory are excellent. In fact, you're sharper than many people half your age." Her words were a lifeline. But pretending everything was normal with Lindsay, that was the hardest part. She called me that Wednesday. "Dad, I'm so sorry about Sunday. Derek's mom had a bad fall, and we had to rush over. Can we reschedule dinner for this weekend?" "Of course, sweetheart," I said, the word catching in my throat. "Is she all right?" "Oh, she's fine. You know how dramatic she gets." Lindsay laughed lightly, that familiar sound I'd always loved. Then her tone shifted. "Actually, Dad, while I've got you, Derek and I wanted to talk to you about setting up a trust, for estate planning. Just to make sure everything's organized, in case something happens. We're not getting any younger, Even knowing what Gerald had told me, her calm voice still sent a chill through me. She was still trying, still plotting, even with a court hearing approaching. "That sounds like a good idea," I said carefully. "Let me think about it." "Don't think too long, Dad," she said with a faint laugh. "These things can be time-sensitive. You never know what might happen." Was that a warning? A threat? I couldn't even tell anymore. Later that night, my grandson Josh called. 15 years old, polite and good-hearted. The one person in that family I still trusted. "Grandpa Tom, can I come over? I need to talk to you alone." "Of course, Josh. What's wrong? I just need to see you, please." He showed up 20 minutes later, red-faced from biking, his hands trembling as he clutched his phone. "Grandpa, I need to show you something, but you have to promise not to tell Mom and Dad I told you." My chest tightened. "What is it, Josh?" He swallowed hard. "I heard them talking last week. They didn't know I was home. I recorded it. I know that's wrong, but after what they said, I thought you should know." He tapped play, and my kitchen filled with my daughter's voice. "I'm telling you, Derek, the hearing's in 2 weeks. Gerald Morrison might be his lawyer, but we've got Dr. Patel's statement, the photos, everything. We're covered." Derek's voice followed, calm and cold. "And if he fights it, with what?" Lindsay said. "We've documented everything. Every time he forgot something, every appointment he missed. The judge will see the pattern. Even if he pushes back, he'll burn through hundreds of thousands in legal fees. By the time it's done, there won't be much left anyway. And if we win, when we win, the house goes up for sale immediately. Even with this market, we'll clear at least $1.8 million. That pays off the crypto loss and wipes our mortgage. Then we'll liquidate his investments and set up the trust for Josh's education." Derek's voice again. "What about your dad? Where's he supposed to go?" A pause. Then Lindsay, her voice colder than I had ever heard it. "There's a nice assisted living place in Airdrie. It's cheaper than Mount Royal. He'll be fine. He won't even know the difference soon." Josh's voice cracked as he looked at me, tears streaming down his face. "I'm sorry, Grandpa. I didn't know what to do. I love you, and they're talking about you like you're already gone." I pulled him into a hug, my grandson, who just betrayed his own parents to save me. "You did the right thing, Josh. The brave thing. Don't ever doubt that. Are they really going to take your house? The one you and Grandma built together?" "Not if I can help it, buddy," I said firmly. "Not if I can help it." I called Gerald immediately. When he heard the recording, he was silent for a long moment. "Tom," he finally said, "this changes everything. This is direct proof of fraud and elder abuse. With this, we're not just defending, you're going on the offensive." "What do you mean?" "I mean, we'll file a counterclaim for fraud, financial exploitation, and conspiracy to commit theft. And we'll make sure every judge in Alberta knows exactly what your daughter tried to do." The hearing took place 2 weeks later at the Court of Queen's Bench. The morning air was sharp, the kind that stings your lungs and reminds you you're still alive. Gerald met me at the entrance, carrying his briefcase and that same look of quiet determination. "Remember," he said as we walked in, "stay calm. Let me handle the questioning. We have truth and proof on our side." Inside, Lindsay and Derek sat at the opposite table with their lawyer, all polished smiles and false concern. Lindsay even waved when she saw me, as if this were some casual family dispute and not an attempt to erase my independence. When the judge entered, the room fell silent. The proceedings began with Lindsay's lawyer, laying out their case, reading from Dr. Patel's statement, displaying photos, playing short video clips of me fumbling with receipts or hesitating at the ATM. Each example twisted into a weapon. Then it was Gerald's turn. He stood slowly, calm and deliberate. "Your Honor," he began, "what my client's daughter has presented here is not evidence of mental decline. It's evidence of manipulation, deceit, and financial desperation. We have proof that this case is not about concern for her father's well-being, but about greed." He played the recording Josh had made. The courtroom filled with Lindsay's voice, her cold, calculating words echoing against the walls. When the part about the assisted living place in Airdrie played, Lindsay's face drained of color. Derek's jaw tightened, and he dropped his gaze to the floor. The judge listened without interruption, expression unreadable. When it ended, Gerald said simply that recording was provided by the petitioner's own son, who could not bear to see his grandfather exploited. Your Honor, this is elder abuse in its purest form. Lindsay tried to speak, but her lawyer stopped her with a hand on her arm. Gerald continued, methodically dismantling every point of their claim. He presented Dr. Chen's full evaluation, pages of cognitive testing, reasoning analysis, and her written statement declaring me fully competent and independent. He produced my journals, entries filled with clear writing, logical decisions, even my daily volunteer logs. Then he called me to the stand. "Mr. Morrison," the judge said, "I understand this must be painful, but please tell the court, in your own words, what you believe is happening." I took a deep breath. "Your Honor, my daughter and her husband are in serious financial trouble. They tried to take everything I've worked for. They wanted control of my house, my savings, and my life. I raised Lindsay to be honest, to be kind, to take care of people, not to steal from them. I don't know what happened to that little girl I used to hold on my knee. But I do know I'm not crazy, I'm not confused, and I'm not ready to be buried alive while I'm still breathing." The courtroom was silent when I finished. Even Lindsay couldn't look at me. After a short recess, the judge returned. His words were crisp and final. "The petition for guardianship is denied. The court finds no evidence of mental incompetence. Furthermore, given the evidence presented, the court orders an immediate investigation into potential fraud and elder exploitation by the petitioners." Lindsay gasped. Derek swore under his breath. Gerald gave me a small, triumphant nod. It was over. Outside the courthouse, the cold November air felt different, cleaner somehow. Gerald handed me a folder. "This is your copy of the court order. You'll want to keep it somewhere safe." "Thank you," I said quietly, "for everything." He smiled. "You did this, Tom. You stood your ground. That takes more strength than most people realize." That night, I sat in my living room, the house silent except for the crackle of the fireplace. I thought about Margaret, how proud she would have been. I thought about Lindsay and wondered if she'd ever understand what she'd lost. Then the phone rang. It was Josh. "Grandpa, I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything. I don't know what's going to happen with Mom and Dad, but I'm proud of you." I smiled through tears. "Thanks, kiddo. You saved me more than you know." After we hung up, I looked around at the house Margaret and I built together, still mine, still filled with memories, still standing. And for the first time in a long while, I felt safe.